What's up, family? So we're gonna have a conversation as always. Let's have a real one today. So I came across this. Well, we always have a real one, but you know what I'm saying. Let's get into relationships and have a realistic conversation when it comes to that. So I came across this clip of Tracee Ellis Ross. Yes, Diana Ross's daughter. Talented, smart, successful, aging gracefully, all that. She's out here talking about her dating life at the age of 52. And honestly, what she said stopped me in my tracks, not just because she's single at that age, but because of what she thinks is the reason behind it. So let's talk about it. Tracy, modern dating, toxic femininity, traditional values, and why so many people today seem so confused as hell when it comes to love and relationships. I got questions, maybe you do too, but let's check out the clip.
But
You date a
oh, I'm
younger
sorry.
woman?
But one of
Younger
the
men?
reasons, though, that because I had to ask myself that question, I was like, "What is this about?"
Yeah.
Because I want a partner, and so often, and it's not just that I'm older. I'm also very embodied. I am a full, very whole person who knows
Yes.
myself, who is in charge of my life, and who lives a very full, just robust life. So it's not just age, it's like life experience and sort of a difference. But I had to ask myself the question, why? Why does this keep sort of coming up other than they're hot and gorgeous?
There's that.
There's that. But a lot of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. And anything that starts to smell of that for me,
Yeah.
I did enough of it where
Yeah.
I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were, or prize, and I have no interest in it, and I
And
will
you've-
not do it again.
I'm sorry.
No,
Craig.
I was going to say, it's a generational thing? So it didn't matter how you met them, or is it just
I'm
kind
not
of the
saying
guys
that's
you're
sort
meeting?
of that's obviously
Too big of a
It's a
generalization.
generalization,
Yeah.
but because I have dated men my age, there
Yeah.
is a difference. There is an openness that occurs with a younger man around whether it's gender fluidity or not even having an issue with homosexuality. I mean, something as basic as that.
Right,
yeah.
That there's
No, I
times
hear you.
where I'll be sitting across the table from somebody and just like, what did you just say?
Yeah, what century are you?
Like, oh my
where's
God.
Where's your horse and buggy
Yeah, like I'm so sorry.
and your bedpan?
Yeah, for real.
Chamber pot.
Yeah,
Your
your
chamber
chamber
pot.
pot. Your chamber pot. Like where I'm just like, yeah, this is not a match.
Yeah.
And I have long been past the age where I feel like it's my job to teach somebody or grow them up.
Yeah.
That I'm not interested in. So, but it's interesting. I mean, there's so many different philosophies on dating, and I have come up with mine. I have come up with what works for me and what makes sense for me.
All right. Let me stop because she's about to say what makes sense for her. All right. So, like I said, Tracee Ellis Ross, family, 52, gorgeous, successful, and apparently she's still figuring things out in the dating world. I'm not knocking her, but what she just said in the interview, it low key exposes a lot of what's going on and how relationships are viewed today. And I'm not here to attack her, but we're gonna unpack it because she started off talking about why she's single and why she's dating younger men, and she says they're more fluid, quote unquote fluid, and less stuck in toxic masculinity, more open to different lifestyles. Fair enough. Everyone has a preference. But then she let something slip. She admits she dreamed of her wedding growing up, right?
Me and what feels safe for me.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm not on dating apps. I have friends that have great success with dating apps, but that's just not something I'm comfortable
So
with.
you're meeting folks in the wild then?
That's the only way for me, or someone sets me up, or
Okay.
I meet them at an event. I meet someone. It's usually people that also have a level of recognition that they, have as much to lose as me to a certain extent. I don't know. I mean, I haven't had great luck lately, but I do have to say I'm moving up on what it is that I'm looking for as a match.
Yeah.
I've had some doozies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just, I just love watching your life because you were modeling so many things, the next phase, how many versions of ourselves we can become at all ages in life, and how to build the life you want.
Yes.
Not the life that somebody told you you were supposed to have. And let me tell you, I told you this about the girls, and Tracee, just like, she mentors the girls, she's always there for them. But trying to get trying to make sure that I am not subconsciously sending them these messages about what their life should look like.
Mm-mm.
Even like when you ask, are you dating anyone? I mean, that's
Mm-mm.
something that we ask young people in their 20s. You
Yeah.
know, the whole thing about weddings, you know.
We talk a lot about that.
Yeah, it's just like the pre-proposal and the bachelorette and the pre-honeymoon and then the 3 wedding dresses and you know, have you thought about
the amount of money,
your 32 list items of who you want to marry, or are you more busy picking out your photographer?
Yeah, it's interesting, that whole, I hope that is starting to dissipate culturally.
So.
I really do. I think social media is perpetuating some of those things in a really big way. But I did dream of my wedding growing up. And that's not to say that I didn't dream of the bigness of my life, but I could have spent a lot more time dreaming of my life. And you know, as much as grief does surface for me around not having children and not having a partner, I still wouldn't want the wrong partner.
That's a great point for people to hear.
I'm not interested in that. You have to make my life better. It can't just be, you know, I'm in a relationship to be in a relationship. So even though
All right. So she admits about her dream wedding, as you just heard. Growing up, she wanted the husband, the life, the kids, and she just didn't get it. And that grief, she's feeling it now. And that's the disconnect, family. That's where it hits different. Because how many women are out here talking about independence, freedom, boss chick life, but deep down they still want the traditional outcome. The husband, the partnership, they like to call it. They just didn't get it the way they thought they would. And she says, I want a partner. Well, now look, if you've been in the dating game long enough and you already know what that means. I've been in the dating game, you know, I'm in my late 20s, I'm 26. That's not someone looking to build. That's someone who's exhausted. A partner usually means I want someone to slide into the life I already created without shaking the table. And translation, if you look at it like this, family, to break it down from a child life perspective. I'm not looking to grow with you. I'm looking for someone to fit in next to me. That's not partnership, that's placement. And no shade, but that mindset right there is what keeps a lot of people perpetually single, right? And then Tracy says men age are too traditional, toxic even she goes to say. But here's the kicker. Nobody's asking her to marry those guys. She could have chosen anyone 30 plus years of fame, money, beauty, and access. So if you dated around, had options, and you're still solo in your 50s, at what point do we stop blaming the culture, the patriarchy, or toxic masculinity and start asking some harder questions? Like, what were the choices you made? What were the choices made? What were the values upheld? What was prioritized in your 20s, 30s, and 40s? And this is where I think it gets real, right? Because the truth versus the aesthetic. Tracy's life look amazing. Career, the looks, independence, glamour. But that aesthetic is not the same as fulfillment. So the aesthetic can't hold you at night. The aesthetic won't build legacy. And what we're seeing in this interview is the honest moment people never have publicly. I did all the right things and I still didn't get what I wanted. That part is valuable, not because it's sad, but because it's honest, and honesty helps the next generation, right? But here's what worries me the most. Tracy talks about mentoring young women. And again, love her for it. But she also says she trying not to push her ideas on them. As you heard Michelle mention it, and how Michelle Obama says she mentors, Tracee Ellis Ross mentors her daughters, and how Michelle Obama try not to push her ideas on her daughters subconsciously. Well, except she already is. When you publicly say, when it comes to Tracee Ellis Ross basically saying this is the one who's mentoring Michelle Obama girls, as Michelle Obama is saying basically, I'm not trying to subconsciously put, you know, my ideas on my girls. Well, Tracee Ellis Ross just said, I chose to live a full life without a partner or kids, and I'm still looking at 52. but you paint it like it's empowerment, like liberation, without also showing the grief behind it. You're misleading people. That's not mentoring. That's passing down unresolved disappointment as freedom. And we got to stop handing down wounds and calling it wisdom. And look, man, ladies, hear me clearly. You don't have to rush life. You don't need a man to be whole, but don't lie to yourself in your 20s and your 30s and just to realize at 52 years old, you really did want the husband and kids. Be honest with your goals, be intentional with your time, and don't wait for your values to evolve until they no longer serve you. And this ain't about shaming. It's about clarity because I see way too many women, successful, beautiful, talented, had all the options, messed off in their prime years, and now they're talking about fluid partnerships and dating younger guys as if that's always been the dream. Let's not repeat the cycle, but let's watch a little bit more.
Grief does emerge and that comes and I hold that. I think of what I've done and I woke up every morning trying to do my best. I didn't wake up one morning and be like, I'm going to mess this day up.
That's right.
So I must be where I'm supposed to be. And I don't know. Sometimes I think of all of the things I've done, the courage that I've had to have and what I've had to learn how to navigate as a single person with no one to hide behind.
Yeah.
And it's built a really beautiful experience around me. And I have incredible friends.
You do.
Well, this is a good segue to get to our question.
Let's do
especially the talking about dating and meeting people. And we have a great question.
All right. I'll leave it there, family. But a lot of women mess off in their prime years. And then later on, they talking about how single they are and men aren't good. But really, they had self-inflicted wounds and they passed up the guy that was for them the whole time. They just didn't marry them. They just didn't feel as though that person was for them. So they passed them up. But let me know in the comments, is this modern mindset really helping us? Is Tracee Ellis Ross just keeping it real? Or are we watching the end result of bad advice and unbalanced priorities? Smash the like button if you're tired of the nonsense. I am. And subscribe for more real talk like this. And hit that bell so you don't miss a drop, man. And let that love supersede the hate. Spread that peace, love, and positivity. And I'll see you in the next one. Let's keep it real out here, family.